Hello, everybody. I am we're trying to get Max settled a little bit and go to bed. And if you could put a comment in the chat for me so I can make sure that the chat's working, that would be great.
Hello.
There's Kathy.
Trying to get ready to go to bed. Yeah, people are here. So I can bring over my computer too if you want to look in there.
Oh, it might be fine. I don't know. Sometimes the comments don't work. There we go.
It takes
All right.
a while.
Comments are coming in. I feel better. Hello. Good Monday, everybody. Good Monday. I am an itchy mess. I have bug bites all over my face, all over my forehead. It was an interesting day. We're covered in bites all over, both Kathy and I. We took Max down to the river that he likes to go to, and it was just a buggy mess down there. But it's the one thing we knew that he really wanted to do, so we wanted to make sure that he got to do that before tomorrow. So.
And I was adamant.
Kathy was adamant that we did it. Even I was like, there's a lot of bugs. And yeah, Kathy, actually hers are kind of going down. We both came and,
Look at my neck.
oh yeah, her neck is covered, y'all. Oh my gosh. We came back in, as soon as we came in, we took some Benadryl and then we busted out my stuff that I typically use to stop the itching of poison ivy, and we put that on, and still kind of an itchy mess. But Kathy is trying to make her way downstairs. Max may or may not go with her. He could be interesting. He could be over here. He's like ready for us all to go to bed, so he is wanting me to come with them. But yeah, I'll be down in a little bit. Go on. All right. Yeah. So it was quite the adventure, and we did it in the rain. Even on the way home, we had to walk very slowly in the rain to get home. So, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. And like Lisa says, the things we do for the animals we love, and it is true. It is true. So true. So that was the highlight of the day today. I think was just we spent all day with Max and doing whatever Max wanted to do. And he finished off some pirate booty, and he finished off some cheese. He's got one more slice for in the morning. Yeah, so tomorrow is the day. And we're a little sad. But at the same time, today he's had a rough couple days. The nights have not been so great. He's woke up in the middle of the night, like his pills just aren't working at all. He's very uncomfortable, couldn't get settled. So of course, when that happens, neither of us can settle either. And then I end up getting up and sitting up and trying to go back to sleep upstairs. And it never quite gets there. And right now I feel like we all need lots of rest, right? So that's kind of what's happening here. I do want to announce that the live with Stacy tomorrow is postponed. That is postponed until later this month. It'll be Thursday the 25th, I think it is, when Stacy will be on for the starch solution stuff. So I'm hoping that I can get a newsletter out tonight or first thing in the morning, giving that update to everybody, since I know not everybody's going to be here tonight to know that. And then I also apologize when I sent the newsletter out that, I'm still trying to get used to all this stuff. And when I sent it out, I forgot to put the links to all the lives in the newsletter. So going forward, I will make sure that I put all the links to the lives in there. So it makes it easy. But I did put the links in the Heartbeat notifications. So if you do use Heartbeat, the links were in the heartbeat for Rose this afternoon and for me tonight. And then we'll just go for the rest of the week. Wednesday, Kathy is going to do a dinner for one live in the evening. I am going to be away with Rob, our friend and neighbor. We're going to go to a hockey game. So that should be fun and exciting. I haven't been to a hockey game in a really long time, and I do love hockey. So we'll be going to see the Carolina Hurricanes on Wednesday night. And so Kathy's going to do a solo dinner kind of live from there. And trying to think. And Friday night, we're going to both do a live where we're going to just make a quick batch of chili and just have like Friday night chili. And after we make the chili, we're just going to sit down and maybe watch a movie or something and chill out and just try to make the rest of our week just kind of as calm as we can, because, you know, it could potentially get bad really fast for us because we're both very emotional people, and I think you all know that. So what else did I want to touch on right before we get going on all this? I did want to touch on all the devastation that has happened due to Hurricane Helene. And if you are one of our people in our community and you are impacted by Helene and you just need to reach out and talk to somebody, or if there's something that you need help with and you are in the Western North Carolina area, please send me an email at support@healthyslowcooking.com, because I'd like to help you in whatever way I can. I know things are really, really bad. When we were just there with Yin and Oz, and it's kind of surreal. Like the place that we went to with them, the River Arts District, where we spent a morning, is basically gone. The river just took it away. Like it's very, if you look at the pictures, it's just so wild. And then I saw that they opened I-26 again, but still parts of 40, it's going to be a really, really long time before those can get fixed, because entire sections of the highway are just, they're not existing anymore. And on top of all the water damage and things, because it is the mountains, they are also dealing with rock slides, mud slides, things like that are also causing issues. Soon as they get power on, then one of those happens and then the power goes out again. So it's really a surreal situation to look at the pictures and know that we were just there, and now a lot of that stuff is just gone. And it's bizarre, like really. So if you are impacted, and even if you aren't in North Carolina and you've been impacted by the hurricane, please reach out to me and see what we can do to help you. And we're keeping you in our thoughts and holding you in our hearts, because we know this is a very difficult time. Natural disasters are not fun at all. I was in South Carolina in Myrtle Beach for Hurricane Hugo. That was surreal, and I learned during that things can disappear in a matter of seconds. So after living through that and not having power for over 30 days, because I lived out in the country on the other side of the waterway, we were not a priority, and it's rough, and I understand. And so if there's anything I can do to assist or help you, please let me know. And with that, we will move right on into how our week was. And I am seeing some comments. And Diana says, my weight fluctuated this week, so I am at the same weight since last Monday. However, that's okay. I ate better and mostly unprocessed foods. And that's great. And that's kind of where I am too. things are hard, and I am one that tends to to turn to food to make things better. But I did make that commitment to myself that I was going to just take tiny chunks and do what I could this week. And I wanted to make sure that at least one meal a day was a very compliant and in tune meal. And I was able to do that for 5 out of 7 days. And for me, with everything going on, I feel like, 5 out of 7 days is really a big win for me. And like Diana, one of the things that I focused on trying not to have was unprocessed foods. Or actually processed foods, sorry. It's hard having the pirate booty in the house for the dog. It's hard having the cheese in the house for the dog. And there were a couple times where I found myself going, well, I just have a little bite of that. But I didn't, because I didn't take a bite of the cheese, because I knew, okay, if that cheese is in the house and I took a bite of that cheese, then chances are next thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a grilled cheese sandwich being made over there. When I can just as easily make a grilled cheese sandwich using, proper veganized cheese, even though that would not be compliant for me, it would still be better than me putting the actual cheese in my mouth, because I do have a dairy allergy, and when I do things like that, I suffer. And you think that would be enough to teach somebody a lesson, but we all know that that doesn't always work that way. So Diana, very proud of you. That's great. We talked about last week that we were going to find that one little thing we could take a bite of and that we could work on for the whole week. And did anybody else have time to do that this week? Or was anybody successful in saying, okay, this week I just have to get through the next 7 days doing X. And we're successful like Diana with that. I'd love to hear how everything's going. Ms. Crab is here. And she says, I hope you and Kathy are taking care of yourselves as you take care of Max. And we are trying. We're trying. We know we've both just kind of the past couple days been, if we can just get through Tuesday morning, is kind of how we felt. And then there was a point on Saturday, early Sunday morning, I guess, that he was so bad. He was so miserable that we were like, are we waiting too long? But he kind of rallied a little bit after he finally got some sleep. It was hard getting him comfortable. It was hard getting him to sleep, but we eventually did. And then he slept pretty much on through the morning. We got up, he was still in bed. And then he wandered up when he was ready. So that's the most we can ask for, is that he's comfortable. And let's see, Jill is here. Diana, let's see. And SFOS says, thanks for the head up about Stacy. We completely understand. Yeah, I just think, we were being a little unrealistic, excuse me. My throat has been extremely dry today. We were being a little unrealistic on, I think both of us were like, let's just push through and let's do all these things that we can do. And then I realized really early on, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do more than probably just this week. And Kathy was like, oh, I'm going to push through. And then today she finally was like, I don't know that I can do that. She had a bunch of stuff scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, and she's punted all of them off so that we can just, process and celebrate our little man tomorrow afternoon. So, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to try not to get emotional tonight, but, and if anybody's just joining us, yes, these are not teenager zits all over my face. These are bug bites. So, very exciting day. All right. And TS says, so glad you're able to spend this quality time with Max. My pup was not able to move at all towards the end. The vet did everything, and my pup let me know a while back that she was getting ready. Yeah. I think Max has actually been trying to tell us for a while, and we just tried to ignore it. Not really ignore it, but just we made up all these other excuses. It was summertime. Oh, he's hot. That's why he's panting so much, because he's hot and things like that. So, you know, I think we kind of let ourselves believe that it happened very quickly. But as we look now back through, you know, as far back as May and June, there were signs, and, you know, I think our minds immediately go to something completely different, right? So, and then when we were at our June appointment, they did put him on the painkillers, and he's been on those since June. His checkup in August, his liver numbers weren't good. There were some other numbers that were, and, you know, he was like, well, you know, we could do some tests and run these tests. We could, you know, do all these different things. And we were like, we're not going to put him through that. He's 13 years old. And, you know, we saw how much strain that put on our dog that a lot of you met, but that were with us in the beginning back in 2020 and stuff, or 2018, 2019, Kathy was doing some blog posts and stuff, and she had pictures of dogs on there. And Brenna was our big Brindle lab mix. She was a wonderful dog. She had a lot of testing done. She had lymphoma. She had lymphoma twice. The third time we were like, no, we're not putting her through this again. It was really hard, and it really took its toll on her system. And we don't want that for Max. Max is, it would be something that Max would not be able to handle as well as she did. So, Marie is asking how Max is doing, and he's had a really good day, and we've got a really great morning planned for him, getting him his favorite pup cup from Starbucks, and we're going to do a little walkie, and we might even get him a little breakfast somewhere before we head over to Hillsboro. So, yeah, we have a big morning planned for him. Lots of love, lots of kisses, lots of snuggles. And, you know, he said he wanted to go out on top. So that's what we're doing. And Lisa says, it's devastating to see the photos of the damage. And it is like, this truly is Katrina level damage here. There's entire towns gone in the mountains. Chimney Rock is gone. It's this little town, and it's completely gone. And, you know, like I said, the River Arts District, where we were with Yin and Oz just, you know, last month, it's gone. And of course, you all know that our favorite artist, Julie Armbruster, is from Asheville. And when I saw the pictures last night of the River Arts District, I was like, and I just, all these feelings just like rushed over me, and I immediately emailed her, and I thought to myself, Lord, she probably is never going to get this message at this point, because most of them don't have power. There's not cell service in a lot of places and things like that. And I don't know exactly where in Asheville that she lives. I know she lives in Asheville proper. But when I saw that, you know, the building where the studios were, like her studio is on the top floor, but it was flooded all the way up to at least her floor. So hoping that her stuff was okay in that building. The buildings in front of that were closer to the river, those were all completely gone. She was a little bit higher up on the hill, and I think that may have saved that building. But I did hear from her last night before I went to bed. I was very happy. She said that her and her family are safe. They didn't have a lot of damage, but everything around them has just been crazy. They have no power and things like that, but they're hanging in there. And Julie being Julie, she was more worried about what was going on with us. But yeah, first chance we get that things are settled down a little bit, we're going to go visit her and see if there's anything we can do to help. Let's see what else we got going on here. TS is asking, are my parents in Florida okay? My parents in Florida, I don't know how they got, like, they were right on the edge, right? They live near Ocala. They live actually closer to a little place called Marion Oaks, which is kind of like Ocala's here, the Villages are here, and Marion Oaks is kind of in between the two. So they live in Marion Oaks, which is on the west side of I-75. And I was worried about them. And Mom said, oh, it's not, 2 days before, Mom's like, oh, it's not supposed to be that bad here. And then it shifted a little bit, and I was like, oh, no. And I texted my mom, and I was like, you guys okay? And she said, oh, it's fine here. We've had a lot of rain. The wind hasn't been that bad. And I said, okay, well, if you need anything, let me know. And then the next morning, I checked on them again. I said, when I saw how bad everything had turned out, when everything just kind of like got crazy overnight, and then I said, are you still okay? Is everything good? Do you need me to come down? What's going on? And my mom was like, that's past us. Your dad's golfing already this morning. And I was like, okay, not going to mess with them anymore. They were right on that very edge. If they would have been over just a little bit further or closer to Tampa, I think they would have got hit really hard. But they got very lucky where they were at. And I'm very grateful because I don't wish this stuff on anybody. Like I said, after living through Hugo, and I worked for the electric company for years before I worked for the last company, and I went on a lot of storm duty. So when you work for the electric company, you have two jobs. You have your normal everyday job, and then you have your job when there's storms. And it's interesting because sometimes your storm job can be something completely unrelated to your regular day job. And in my case, that was the case. I was a co-leader for basically a go team. And what we did is we would go drive into the storm as the storm was coming, and we would get all the logistics ready so that when the storm passed through, we could bring in the line crews, and we had, a place staged for them and porta potties brought in and all the things so that right away they could get to work. And they had like a home base that they could come get meals, they could get their laundry done, anything they needed, we handled for them basically on a concierge type level. So, and it helps a lot because then they don't have to be stressing about these other things. They know they can pull in there and somebody's going to like hand them a hot meal, or they can get out and go sit down and have a hot meal. That on the other side is going to be like all the different kinds of parts they need to put on their truck that they may be running out of, like transformers and things like that, line. It's a very well-oiled machine. It's a very well-oiled machine, and we've seen a lot of damage. The last storms that I worked with the electric company was the year, I want to say it was 2006, 2005, 2006, somewhere around in there, where there were 3 storms back to back that hit Florida. That was the year before my parents moved there. And I was with my crew in our little rented truck, and we were going down 75. We came through Ocala. We were going down 75 to cut across because we were going to Inverness or someplace like that, or along the coast to set up a thing at a camp, like not a campground, but it was just kind of like a park area. And I remember going down the road, and we were talking, and I looked across, and I said, that's the kind of place my parents would move if they lived here. I said, they totally would be like moving in there. And a year later, that's exactly where my parents moved, was Summer Glen, that I had pointed out from the car when we were going down for storm duty. So it always kind of tickles me, and I'm always like, yes, I know my parents well. All right. Hi, Patsy's here, Linda's here, T.S., Lisa. Oh my goodness, Christine is here. Oh, Christine, I am so happy to see you. I have not talked to you in so long. I'm glad you're doing well. Christine says, hi, Cheryl and Kathy. My heart is with you this week with Max. We've been there and understand the difficulty and intense emotions. Love you guys. Oh, Christine is one of our Starch Solution buddies. And I think you might remember me last year talking about Christine and Kevin and I went kayaking while they were here in the area, and we had a really great time. So if you guys come back through, would love to see you. I have more time to do stuff now. Let's see. And Marie was asking what is wrong with Max. Max has several issues going on. The biggest one is he's in a lot of pain from just hip issues, muscle atrophy, and things like that, but he does have some internal issues going on that, have been going on for a while that we've just decided that we didn't want to have him poked and prodded on about. Hi, and Patsy says, what was the heads up about Stacy? I just got here. So we originally sent out, I sent out a newsletter yesterday for Kathy, and in the newsletter I had put all the dates that Stacy was going to be here, or that we were having lives, and one of them was with Stacy tomorrow at 1, and we actually, due to the events of the day tomorrow, we have postponed Stacy until the 25th. It's either the 24th or the 25th. It's whatever that Thursday is of that week. I think it's either the 24th or 25th. So we'll make sure that we get a newsletter out that'll have that exact date in it when we get closer to that. Let's see. And Vanita is here. Linda is here. I think I already said hi to Linda. Jessica is here. Wow. So good to see everybody tonight. I always worry that 9 o'clock is going to be too late. And but it looks like 9 o'clock works for a lot of people. In fact, I did get some emails last time where people were saying that they thought the 9 o'clock was great because they lived in other countries, and so this was a good time for them. So I am going to try to keep them kind of, for now, I'll try to do some in the evenings to try to catch, people that are maybe just getting up, or, it's in the evening for them, but not, the middle of the night, so that they can get involved in this and everything. Let's see. All right. All right. And Video 1000 Nights is here. Good to see you. And says, are you guys okay with all the storms? Yes, we've had a lot of rain. There was a lot of flooding actually in our area because we've had so much rain. In fact, the side of the road, we have behind the house, we own the woods that are behind the house, but it can't be ever developed because there's I don't know what they call it. It's not a right-of-way, it's something else. But anyhow, it's a channel that's built through the woods. And it's basically for runoff from the golf course ponds when it floods and they overflow. And that actually overflowed into the whole wooded area, not just in its little contained area. And it was coming up towards the back of our fence. Luckily, the house is higher up than that low area, but that low area back there was all covered with water, but it never got close to the house. So, but we did have some standing water out the back door that we've never had before. And I was like, because I was a little concerned because I had never seen water pool like that close to the back door. And there was a lot of flooding in town in some areas. But luckily, we have missed all that in our direct vicinity. There were lots of power outages. tons of power outages actually. And like the week before this storm hit, the power crews were coming through, all tree crews were coming through and trimming all the lines, trimming the trees that were on all the lines. And so I think that really helped. We never lost power through this storm. We did have way too many tornado warnings for my liking. I grew up in the Midwest. I take tornado warnings very seriously. And it's a little different down here though. Like when you hear a warning and you're from the Midwest, the first thing you do is like hightail it to the basement, because that means somebody has put their eyes on one and you need to get out of Dodge, right? You need to be in your basement. You need to be in your closet, wherever you're going to be downstairs, and safe as soon as you hear that. Here, it's like a warning's more like a loosely, it could happen anywhere in the next county and your county kind of thing. Like when they say a tornado warning for your area, it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody has seen a tornado. It just means that the data that they are collecting shows them that there is a very high probability that a tornado is going to spin off of that storm. And so I still vote for the going downstairs. I still vote for making sure animals are downstairs with us. Like, you just never know. And I do not like tornadoes. I think I actually am better about hurricanes than I am tornadoes, because with a hurricane, there's some planning that you can do to protect yourself. With a tornado, it just comes out of nowhere, and that really makes me nervous. So we had a lot of those. Our friend Helene over in Wake Forest spent the better part of a morning in her closet, in her bathroom, her small bathroom with all her animals. Like, it's just that when they're constantly, the alarm's constantly going off, and it's very nerve-wracking because, you can hear the rain, it's pounding, you can barely see out the window because it's raining so hard, and then you hear this warning and it's like you can't see anything. And this whole house upstairs is glass. I mean, the whole back side of this house is glass. There's glass all across up there and all across up there. And I don't want to be up here in something like that at all. No. Let's see. And Janet says, I did so very well for 5 days with my food. Don't live in a clean environment, but today I stumbled pretty bad, and yes, I'm beating myself up. Janet, do not beat yourself up. Because why? What does Cheryl always tell you? Because today is a new day. Today is the start of a new week. And every day is an opportunity for you to just start again. And so tomorrow, you can just get up and you can say, what's a small little thing I can do today that can make me have success for the rest of the week? And you do that every day, that one little small thing, and then that little small thing turns into big things the more you do it. And I am confident that you are going to be successful this week. I mean, you did 5 days. I did 5 days. There were 2 days that I just totally threw it out the door. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that, because everything going on in my life and everything that's like, perfection is not real. It is not real. Like, you do the best you can, and you don't beat yourself up for it. You just say, I messed up today, and tomorrow you're gonna hit it, and you're gonna do just fine. And I know you are, and I have confidence in you. And if you need to shoot me an email and we need to talk about maybe something that little bite you can do because you're not sure, shoot me an email at support@healthyslowcooking.com, and I'll see what I can do. And I think I said Nancy is here. And let's see. Ms. Crab says, I was listening to you and told myself I would walk 50,000 steps from Monday to Friday. I barely made it, but thanks for challenging me to try. You know what? That's amazing. 50,000 steps In 5 days, that's 10,000 steps a day. And there are a lot of people who can't do 10,000 steps a day. And so that's amazing. I mean, hats off to you. I always aspire to do 10,000 steps a day. And more realistically, lately, I've been getting somewhere around 8,500. And so you have inspired me that this week, I am going to try to take time for myself, and I'm going to try to kick up that number, and I'm going to try to do 10,000 steps a day for the next 5 days and see if I can do it. And I also want to say that if you're not in the Heartbeat group, if you look in the show notes or whatever, there should be a link for you to join the Heartbeat group. We have this great movement thing going on this month that I would love for all of you to get involved in. Basically, one of our community members, Karen, she's a retired fitness person, and she has developed a challenge for us this month where, you know how Kathy and I love Halloween. So she's developed a challenge where everybody is going to walk with us from Durham, North Carolina to Salem, Massachusetts. It's somewhere around 750 miles, something like that. She's got it all figured out. And there's different ways you can do it. And the instructions are on the Heartbeat group. There's a pin post under the movement thread. And if you go in and take a look at that, there's also a Zoom meeting that we recorded where she goes over everything and tells you about the formulas and everything. You do not have to actually walk all those miles. So if you are somebody who's still in the I'm just walking to the mailbox phase, you can still get points in this challenge, because there's one where you don't have to keep track of miles or anything. You just have to put down a number 1 for every day that you've done some kind of movement. And we all know that movement is not just walking or running. You could be moving and lifting a bunch of boxes. You could be running up and down your stairs doing laundry and housework. All of that counts. It's all movement. And so we would love it if you would participate in the challenge with us. And then at the end, what we're going to do is everybody who participated, we're going to put your name into a big bag, and we're going to shake it up and draw out some names, and then those people are going to win prizes. And those prizes are going to really come from Salem, Massachusetts, because we will be in Salem around the 14th or 15th of October. And we are hoping that we can actually do some lives for you from there so that you guys can actually see what Salem looks like. October, it's crazy. It's like a big carnival. It's really fun, and we'll try to get you video of all that. And if our signals hold out, we'll just walk around Salem with you so that you have walked there. Now you get to see what it's like. And we're also on the way up. We're going to the Great Pumpkin Blaze in Sleepy Hollow, New York. We did this last year. It was a spur of the moment thing. We just happened to be tired and needing to pull off to get a hotel room. And we were looking for hotels, and Kathy came across this Pumpkin Blaze thing. And she was like, "You think we could drive an extra hour to Sleepy Hollow?" And I was like, "Okay." And she got us tickets for this thing, and it was so amazing. But we felt very rushed because we got in there late. Like we were the last bunch in before they closed, and so we didn't really have as much time with it as we would have liked to. So this year we've got tickets for a time slot much earlier. We're going to go, and long as our internet will hold out, we are going to record a lot of that and do some lives from there for you too, so you can check that out. So it's going to be a really fun month of movement and things like that, and walking around for us while we're doing our trip. Like, you know, our lives have really have been really enriched by when we plan our vacations out. And this isn't really a vacation. This is almost like a working thing, because we are going to camp. The eCam Camp, that's the software that we use that Kathy can do all her multiple cameras with, and that I'm on right now. And they have a camp each year where we go, and for 3 days we We dive in, deep dive with all the people there. The guys that write the program, they're there. It's just two brothers, actually, that run that whole company. They make all the software themselves and everything. And we have a lot of friends that we've made, like, during the pandemic and things. And so, we call ourselves the ECAM fam. And so we will all be there together and learning from each other. And it's going to be really special for me this time because I'm going to be bringing back some information that I necessarily wouldn't have tried to dive into last year. Things are different for me now, and so I'm looking at it at a different kind of angle. And so I'm very excited to see what I can bring back and add to the shows and things like that. But we always try to build in a little bit of free time around those things. And we always try to build in, like, we call it vacation time. And with our vacation time, we always try to pick things that are going to make us move. And it's something that I highly recommend to everybody. If it's hard for you to get motivated to move a lot, but you like to go on trips, and when you're on trips, you're like, when I'm on a trip, I never have a problem getting up motivated to get up in the morning and go do whatever. And that's how we were. And so if you build in trips to places that actually, like, you get a lot of walking or exercise in without even realizing it, those are the best kind. That's why we go to Disney. That's why we go to Universal. We walk miles and miles while we're at Disney. And same thing at Universal. And when we're in Salem, we're going to be there all day, probably a day and a half worth of walking around Salem. And we'll very easily put in probably 8 miles, maybe even 10, just walking around. And it's a really, really great way to get steps in fast. So I highly recommend that. If you can build in some exercise to your vacation that doesn't feel like exercise, go for it. I see, whatever. Jessica says, my brother and family also went through Hugo in South Carolina. Yeah, Hugo was a monster. And was the first major hurricane that I had ever been in. And actually, I lived on the other side of the waterway, kind of between Myrtle Beach and Conway, in this little area they called Tilly Swamp. And it was a swamp. And we had alligators used to cross through the backyard and all sorts of stuff. And our neighbor, he worked for the Ori Telephone Cooperative, and it was his job to go to the little stations around town and crank all the generators when the power started to go out. And so I rode with him on several of those trips out that night. And I learned pretty quickly, like, how crazy nature can be. Like, there was, the last one that we went to was close to downtown Conway, and it had a little wooden door, and it was kind of like inside this thing that he had to kind of go in, and he had to try to crank that generator, and he couldn't see, and the door kept hitting him from the wind. And so I literally had to, and of course I was in my 20s, right? So I literally wedged my body between the door frame and the door so that he could get that cranked up. And while I was sitting there, I kept hearing this and then the smashing sound and smashing. And I couldn't figure out what it was until all of a sudden I heard whoosh, and then and right over to the side, this billboard just splintered into a million pieces because the top of a pine tree hit it like a missile. And I was like, we gotta go. And we got back to where we needed to be and to our shelter and stuff, but that was the last time we went out that night. And I never will forget that to this day, the sound and this, just the sheer, like, feeling that you got when you saw that just shatter. And I'll never forget that. It was crazy. And then the hotel that I worked at, when we finally were able to get back into the beach, we got to the hotel, the whole entire first floor of the hotel was sand. Like, the ocean came in and it just deposited sand when it went back out. And so they had to take those little digger things They had to rent a bunch of those to actually like dig the sand out of the lobby area. So the entire first floor was just basically like gutted just from the water coming in. And then some of the upper floors had a lot of wind damage and stuff. So I would say we were probably out of work for maybe 60 days while all that had to be repaired before they could call us back in. Though they did call us back in a little earlier than some people because we did reservations and stuff, so we could call people and go through the whole reservations thing about, changing dates and everything. But that's something you don't ever forget. It was crazy. And Elizabeth is saying it's 2004 for those storms in Florida. Yeah. That's about right, because my parents moved there in 2005. Yeah, that's right. 2004, you are right. That was crazy times. Let's see, Carol says, I went through Cyclone Jasper last December. We call them cyclones in Oz. You're in Australia. But then it didn't move on, and we had an amazing amount of rain, which caused lots of flooding and damage. It's very traumatic. It is very, like, the whole, like, just the dumping of the water. And, and there's always the timing, too, about tides and all that kind of stuff. It all gets very complicated. All right, and Tia says, I just wanted to say thanks for the Motivation Monday talks. I did pretty good last week with the exception of yesterday, Sunday. I went to Trader Joe's and everything pumpkin is out and I indulged a bit. Yes, it is that time of the year. Pumpkin Joes or whatever, JoJo's or whatever they are out. And then pretty soon there'll be those maple cream cookie things and everything. Oh my gosh. Everything it's like this time of the year, everything is pumpkin and maple and just makes us crazy because we really like those flavors. So it's very hard. I try not to go with Kathy to the store this time of the year because if I do, I don't always say maybe we shouldn't get that like I should. And so we're trying to be very good though right now because we know that we really need to take care of ourselves with all the things going on, with all the stress, with the job loss and all that we need to just kind of rein it in a little bit and focus on ourselves and get ourselves nice and healthy so that we can be here for our other sweet baby Fergus. So, and I think Fergus is going to be a little sad, I think, tomorrow a little bit. It won't be the first loss that Fergus has experienced, but I think it'll be the first one of an animal, of a sibling that he was close to. He wasn't close with Moxie. Moxie was very hateful to him. So I don't think that one will have the same effect as the relationship that he and Max has been very playful, very sibling-like, where they take turns picking at each other. So, and I will miss seeing that too. All right, I don't want to get sad. Just keep moving. But, and Chef Yin is here. Chef Yin says, oh no, so sad to hear about the River Arts District, but good to hear my parents are fine. Yes, I was so, the building where I got that Kathy got me that necklace when we were there that morning, that building is completely gone. Like that whole little L-shaped building area is just gone. It's just not even there anymore. And it's really, really, really crazy. And we actually were planning to take Max to Asheville last week, and we would have went over the weekend to take Max to Asheville, just for a nice long car ride and some snackies. So, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard right now. Lydia says, I'm happy you are safe. The pictures I saw out of North Carolina are devastating. They are. Fortunately for us, that is about 3.5 hours west of us. Though some of the damage starts much before the 3.5 hours. But there was a lot of flooding and everything even coming this way, and even in all around us, there's just been flooding, and on the coast, there's flooding. And I don't know if you saw, but in Rodanthe, they've lost in the past 30 days, 3 houses have collapsed into the ocean in the past 30 days in Rodanthe. Let's see. TS says 9 is great for me in California, makes it 6 p.m. Do we do the time change in North Carolina? Yes, we do the daylight savings time is what we do. So at some point, like, we will fall back. So it will actually, like right now, would be 8:54 p.m., I believe. I don't think we haven't hit that quite yet. I think that's next month. All right. Hydron is here. Hello, Hydron. Good to see you. We will be up your way again soon. I don't know if we'll have time to get over that way or not, but we will keep you posted because we definitely enjoyed seeing you last year. All right. And Christine says, thanks so much for the kind response, Cheryl. We can't go kayaking without thinking of you and the fun day we had together. So glad to see that you guys are safe. We need to catch up soon. Yes, we definitely need to catch up soon. So let's plan that. Email me. All right. And SFOS says, I stayed out of PB2 this week. All right. So the PB2, that's the peanut butter powder. I think we actually have some. Kathy has been known to use some of that in a creamy pint here and there. And I go back and forth on peanut butter. Like, I used to really like peanut butter, and then I think because I haven't really done it in a long time, like I used to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all the time. And then when we started doing the starch solution stuff, I just kind of like, I tried to stay away from sandwichy things like bread and stuff. And then I stayed away from the peanut butter just because I can go a little overboard with peanut butter stuff. And now I just kind of don't have a taste for it. It's one of those things where it's interesting. Now if I have something that has a peanut butter taste, a lot of times I'm like, oh, that's too sweet. And then I don't want it at all. But I am very, very happy that you were able to stay out of that, as that seems to have been one of your goals this week. And that's one of those things, out of all the things that you could have done, you took that one little bite and you said, what's the thing that I can do this week that I'm going to feel best about? And that was, you wanted to stay out of the PB2. It was just a small bite. In the grand scheme of your week, it was just a very small thing. But you did it because you just took that one little bite and just took it out of the picture. And I mean, that's kind of what I was talking all about last week. We don't have to make these big grand moves. We don't have to just like be all or nothing, because you have a life. And you don't have to be all or nothing. You have to decide in your mind, what's the thing that you want most? What's the goal that you want most? And 9 times out of 10, you've got this big goal over here. But you can't just all in a week just hit that like big goal. Big goals take times getting to. And so, take little portions at a time towards that goal. And every step you make like that is one step closer to that big goal. All right, and Diana says, I am starting the movement challenge with Cheryl. Awesome. Yay. I think I saw you post in Heartbeat about that today. And I'm very excited for this challenge because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that Karen has done it in a way that everybody can participate equally, whether you are barely up off the couch to a marathon runner. There is a section of this challenge that is just right for you. And I would love to see as many people participate as possible, because like I said, we're going to get prizes from Salem itself, And there's going to be more than just a couple winners. I think we'll have quite a few prize winners for this challenge because I'm just that excited about it. And I'm also very excited to get stuff from Salem. Let's see. And is it Gigi or Gigi? Gigi, I'm assuming, is here. She says, hello, Cheryl and everyone. If I pronounced that incorrectly, please, please, please let me know so that I don't continue to say it wrong. Moni's here. Moni says, hi, everyone. Cheryl, you're such a great motivator. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't feel like a great motivator the past couple weeks just with everything going on. I just honestly, you're the people who are making it so that I can get up in the morning and get through my day, because I get all these great emails from folks and great comments and things, and it's just really helping to lift me up with everything that's going on. And I keep saying to myself, tomorrow's the day when I can start my new life. Tomorrow's the day when everything will just fall into place. And tomorrow's the day. And I keep saying tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And then I realize, all I'm doing is making excuses for myself by just keep saying tomorrow I'm going to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to do this. There are some things that I haven't had any control over that have kind of consumed my life, like trying to get health care insurance. Holy cow, this has been an experience. I've never had to deal with the marketplace thing or anything like that because I've always had insurance through my job. So it was an experience, and thank goodness we found someone through a friend who actually that's her job, is to navigate the marketplace for people and to help them. And she got us all set up. And then today I had to call because she said you wait X amount of days and then you call to make your first payment thing. And so I said, okay, let me check and see if everything's through and I can pay today. And so I called, and every time I would get almost to the part where I could put in my information about my payment, and the call would disconnect. And then this happened 5 times in a row, and I was getting very frustrated, right? Just totally frustrated. My tech person, the why is this happening thing kicked in, and I was getting very upset. So then I was like, screw this. I'm going to go online and do it on the online thing instead of the phone thing. So I found the online thing, and I went in there to do the online thing, and then that was all messed up. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So then I called customer service, and I was like, just wanted to make sure that really everything was messed up and that I didn't do something and break something. And so when I called them, and they were like, oh yeah, the online stuff's all kind of messed up today. And I was like, you're going to have to do it over the phone. I said, well, it kept disconnecting me. Well, just keep trying, you'll get through. Okay. So that's what I did. And then when Kathy got off her live, she came downstairs and she was like, you still haven't got that done? And I'm like, I keep getting disconnected. And I was so frustrated. And she said, well, I'll just sit here because if I sit here, it'll go through. And sure enough, with her sitting there, everything went through. So yay, we're going to have insurance. But it's just been all these little things, they consume your time in a way that you don't expect it to. Everything has taken twice as long as I would expect it to. And then I'm always like, where did my day go? And then I get frustrated because I'm like, I didn't do any of the things that I wanted to do today for me. And that gets very frustrating. And then I start second guessing what I'm doing because I'm like, oh, if I can't do these simple things now, how am I ever going to do this stuff? And so I get overwhelmed. But all the letters that you guys have sent me, all the emails, all the comments and things have just kind of lifted me up and pushed me forward. And I know that together we are going to get through this, and we are all going to just hit our goals and be where we want to, because we're doing it together. And everybody has times when they can't do stuff, and then we're all here to help each other get through this, right? Just the way you guys are all lifting me up, I want to be able to lift you when you're in that position, when you're having a tough time. And I want everybody else in our community to be able to lift you up too, which is another reason why I really, 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 if you're not a member of the Heartbeat group, I really would love for you to be a member of the Heartbeat group, because in there's ways that you can communicate with people. Like, you get in the chat and you guys are making friends. You guys, I see you all saying hello to each other. You all are friends in the chat. So if you get over there in Heartbeat, you can direct message people and carry on a conversation with just that person through direct message. You can make threads and start conversations. We've got threads about movies and TV shows and sci-fi stuff and books and all sorts of stuff that you can get involved in over there. That, is just being able to share your life and your likes and dislikes with all the people in the community. And when we all work together like that, when we're all involved with each other like that, then we can all lift each other up. And I think that's what it's all about. Let's see. Hydrant says, it would be lovely to see you again. We have our Store Fall Festival this coming Saturday. I think we are not going to we won't be there this week. We'll be there 2 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now. It'll be the weekend of the 20-something when we're leaving Massachusetts, so if that helps. But yes, definitely send me an email tomorrow. All right. And Vegana says, I'm crocheting my recliner while watching Cheryl TV. Doesn't get much better than that to unwind. I don't know how good I am to unwind to, but everybody keeps talking about this soothing voice that I have, and I'm like, I've always been one that I have never really liked my voice, but I used to do a lot of phone customer service, and people used to always say that I was very calming. When they would come and they'd all be upset and they're freaking out because something was broken, they said that I would calm them down. So I do hope that some of that can translate over to helping in this situation as well. Let's see. Abby says, I will try to dust the stationary bike off and do the challenge. I think alternating it with playing my cello would work. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love the cello. It's such a beautiful instrument. There was a short time in my life where I played a violin. Very short time, like elementary school short time. Mostly because we moved, and where we moved to, they didn't have a string section. They only had brass and woodwinds. That was basically our high school band was an all brass band. It was very interesting. But we moved there when I was just starting the 8th grade. And so I had to choose a different instrument, and ironically, I chose the French horn. And for marching band, I also did some drums and things like that, but mostly French horn and the sousaphone thing, or whatever the marching French horn was. It was fun. I liked band. Band was good. Band competed too much with sports, and so sports won. But I enjoyed band. I loved all my bandmates. We always had a good time. Let's see. And I'm also, Abby, going to try and dust off the stationary bike, because when we were doing all the cleanup, we cleaned where the Peloton is, we were cleaning up for Oz to stay. And so I kind of junked up around the Peloton to the point where you can't easily get on and off of it. So I think I'm going to add to my list this week of one of my things that I'm going to do towards my goals is to make it so I can get to that stationary bike, so I can get to the Peloton and I can at least do one Peloton session this week. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I was also thinking that maybe on some of these nightly, the Monday call, that if you guys are interested in it, we could also do it as an additional thing. But, Kathy and I are always talking about doing she did the treadmill walks with you guys for a while. I also wonder if maybe if we did like me on the bicycle talking to you guys, or me on the treadmill talking to you guys, like maybe if we set a time each week where we have one night where we actually just kind of like walk together or ride together or whatever. If that's something that you guys would even be interested in, let me know. Just email support@healthyslowcooking.com and let me know what you think about that, because I'm still trying to figure out how all this should go. Like how I can make it as interactive as possible for you, so that I'm not just talking at you, so that I can be talking with you and then doing something with you, right? And you know how important movement is to me, because I feel like movement has saved my life. I see all the benefits of movement on a daily basis. My stamina is much better. I don't hurt as much when I'm getting up and down the cut. I can go up and down the steps. I can, walk 3 miles out just randomly. I can go to a park and I can walk 8 to 10 miles without like running out of breath. All that was baby step to get to, because I went from where I could barely walk to the mailbox without going, right? And so now I feel like, just because I kept doing that and I kept going a little further and I kept going a little further until I could go around the block, and then I just went around the block every day, and then it got further and further and further, and now I feel like I have my life back a little bit, right? And I feel also that you really see the benefits if you're diabetic like I am. All that keeps my numbers down, right? Because I'm moving, I'm using up that stuff in my bloodstream. And so it's very important. And as we get older, it gets harder and harder for us. The joints start getting, I have arthritis in my knees, I have some arthritis in my hands. I feel this stuff, but if I keep moving every day, if I keep doing something every day, I don't have that negative impact of it all the time. I can feel it like when the weather changes. Oh my God, I can feel it in my knees, in my hands. But it doesn't cripple me. It doesn't keep me from being able to do a bunch of things, because I keep moving, right? I keep moving these things. I keep using these things. And I really hope that everyone, can see how important it is for you to not just be sitting idle all day long. And I know when I had a job, this is probably one of the blessings of getting laid off, is the fact that I can move more now. Because there were days when we had something big going on at work, when it was just crazy town, that I literally would be sitting on my butt from the time I got up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I would go an entire day where the biggest movement I had was walking to the bathroom and back to my seat. And that's not good for anyone. And so I want to take advantage of this time to kind of reset all that in my life too. I want to be able to just reset I'm not going to call it laziness, because it wasn't laziness, it was necessity out of work, right? That's what work is. If we have a desk job, that's why it's a desk job. But now I don't have that desk job, and I can be more of my own boss, even though Kathy is technically my boss. That's just for helping her with her stuff. I am my own boss with my stuff, and I still have a lot to do to grow my stuff, and Kathy's helping me out with that, but I'm also trying to learn her stuff at the same time. And then with all this other stuff going on, my brain's going, wah! And So then I make mistakes like I did the other night, not putting the links in for the lives, which again, I apologize for. But hey, it's all a learning experience, and I'm going to get better and better with it every day. And hopefully I'll start being able to put a little of my own twist on some of that stuff. And hopefully you guys will like that. And I feel like I'm to the rambling point of my show now. And Kathy says, yep, just plan on everything taking longer. It is, I don't know, I used to always get mad. Like my boss that retired, like, I don't know, I guess he retired about 4 years ago. It was before the pandemic. He retired in like 2018 or 2019, I think. And he used to, I used to just like laugh because he would say, I want you to do X, 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 and X. Okay. And then I'd say, okay, well, I should have that done in X amount of time. And he'd be like, what is it? It doesn't take that long. It should only take you about an hour to get all that done. And he's asking me to do like 3 days of work that he thinks should only take an hour to get finished. And we would, everybody who worked for him would laugh because they were always like, he has no concept of time. He has no idea how long it actually takes to do anything. And I used to laugh about that, but now I kind of like understand how he could, if you're not doing that task, if that's not like what you do all the time, and then your brain will kind of go, oh, well, that shouldn't take very long. And then when it does, you're just like, my brain. But yes. And that, my friends, is healthcare.gov. But I am so glad we found that lady because I was just like about to pull my hair out. And when our friend said that she knew this person, we were just like, oh my God, thank you. Because it was crazy. It was so crazy. Let's see, and Linda says, I wanted to play the French horn too. Hey, that's awesome. And you know who else played the French horn professionally in an orchestra? Kathy. That is what Kathy did. That was her job. 3 or 4 jobs ago, that's what she did. She went to school. Her degrees are in performance art and music stuff. And she played in the New Orleans Philharmonic. And that's what she did. So that's kind of cool. But she could probably pick up a French horn right now and run through some stuff. Me, I'd just be going, I don't remember any of that. I didn't do it long enough to remember any of that. And Miss Kibbs says, you 3 are in my prayers as you help Max cross over. As Horse Plus reiterates, it's the last great act of kindness. Please know many of us have been there. Yeah, thank you. And, it really is, it's sad, but then at the same time, I feel like he's had a really great life. I feel like he's had a life that he otherwise wouldn't have gotten. I don't think there are many people, I think all of you are probably this way, but I think, the majority of the world doesn't change their entire life and lifestyle to accommodate an animal. And with him, that is something that we had to do. He's very special little muffin, very high-strung, very neurotic, lots of PTSD. There were times early on where we were like, we just didn't know how it was going to go, how it was going to turn out. And, we worked with the vet and we worked with trainers. We sent him off to doggy camp several times. And, we worked on it. We basically quit having people to the house because it was too stressful on him. He was too protective. We quit having parties at the house because we got to the point where we we felt really bad having to send him to the kennel whenever we had a party. We didn't like the idea of having to shove him in a room when anybody came over, and then, it just didn't seem fair. So we just kind of changed our life to accommodate him and gave him the very best life that we could have. And I think he's turned out to be such a good boy, which we never thought was going to get there. The fact that we could have him able to intermix with the cats and not chase them or try to go after them. We never thought that he and Fergus would ever be like in the little playful rivalry that they have like that. We never thought that would happen. We never thought we'd be able, we had baby gates in every doorway of our house that had little kitty openings at the bottom for the cats. Just to keep him out of spaces so he couldn't chase anybody and stuff like that. And we never thought we would ever see the day that those gates were able to come down. But we haven't had those gates up in the house for several years, maybe longer. Most of the pandemic, I guess, we haven't had those up. And we never thought we would get there. So, I mean, he grew, and he grew into a good boy. And, even he was always hard to walk because he was so dog reactive, and Kathy would run off like behind people's houses to the golf course and things to get away from people coming at us with dogs. And because, no matter how many times you tell somebody, my dog's reactive, we're trying to get out of your way, they still want to let their dog on a flexi leash come right over to them, right? I mean, it just happens. And then there's so many people with small dogs, and they just let the small dogs run out into the road and stuff like that around here. And so, we always had to be really careful with him. And then, in the past couple years, he just, I guess we all walked so much during the pandemic, he learned to social distance just like we did. And so now, if there's another dog coming, he just has to have about 15, 20 feet. And he's okay. He's good. As long as it doesn't give him the stink eye. Gives him the stink eye, then he might have something to say. But for the most part, we never thought that we would ever get there with him like that. And so there were so many positive things that have happened with him that makes it all worth it in the end. And letting him go out on his own terms is also very helpful. And I'm glad we did the animal communicator thing, because even though at first I was like, I don't know about this, it did give us some peace of mind. And everything that he said he wanted, he's getting. And he's showing us that he's grateful for it. And that's exactly what he wanted. So, and tomorrow's going to be hard, but it's also going to be a nice thing in the end, because we know that he won't be hurting. We know that whatever internally is going on will not be affecting him anymore, and he will just continue on to be his good boy and meet his sissy at the other end of the bridge, and they can go run around and terrorize each other. Linda says, we could do an hour of power where we do an hour of movement together. Oh, that would be good. That is something we could do. Or we could alternate. We could have motivational Mondays, and then every other time could be motivational Monday power hour or something like that. And then, so every other one we're actually all just like doing something at the same time. That's something to think about. That's a great idea, Linda. Thank you. And Susan says, I definitely do the exercise bike with you. Awesome. Awesome. And Ms. Krabs says, thank you so much for the kind words on my steps. I hope I can do the same for you on your journey of doing more. Thank you, Ms. Krab. I really appreciate that. I'm really ready to just all this of the past several weeks to just be in a place that I can just say, okay, I can breathe now. I can move forward now. These are the things I want to do for me, and just do them, right? And it's sometimes it's hard for us to take that time for ourselves. It really is, but we need to. And, I think we all see time and time again how important the self-care is. And we hear it and everybody's kind of like, it's just like this buzzword, but it's real. It's not just a buzzword, it's real. Let's see, and Kathy says, regarding movement, I've seen recommendations to walk for 10 minutes after every meal for heart health and to keep blood sugar normal, but doing that is a big challenge. It is kind of hard. So here's one of the things that we've started doing, and we've been doing this for a while now. So you know that we still do about 90 to 95% starch solution. So what that means is we go out to eat some. But what we have started doing is, especially if we go out to eat like with Faith and Jessica or something like that, they're really good at building this in. We try to make sure that we walk. So and how we do that is, if we go with Faith and Jessica, it's usually in an afternoon on the weekend. We'll go someplace and we'll pick a place in an area where there's good walking. And then we'll eat, and then we'll go for a long walk after we eat, before we get in our cars. And then the other thing that we do is, for instance, if we meet friends out somewhere or something, we do this everywhere except for the Indian buffet, because that turns into big social time out in the parking lot, so there's really not time to walk there. So, but every other place we go, for instance, if we meet somebody in downtown Raleigh or downtown Durham, we park pretty far away from wherever we're going, so that we have to hoof it all the way there and then hoof it all the way back to the car. And usually that comes out to be about 10 minutes each way. So that is one way that we've been doing that, and I highly suggest it. It's the same thing as like parking your car at the back of the parking lot and walking into the grocery store, or taking the steps instead of the elevator kind of. It's kind of that same thing that we're just kind of building into our going out to eat. And then like if we go to the bowl place in Cary, it's over at Crossroads in Cary, which is a kind of a shopping area. And so we'll just pop into a bunch of little stores and stuff while we're over there. And when all is said and done, we probably get another, 15, 20 minutes of walking in, just walking from, we'll park here and then walk to all the different places, and plus the walking around in the places. So we always try to build that in, and that's really been very helpful for us, especially for me, because it does help keep that blood sugar down. Aziara says that I am getting better and better. I appreciate that. I really hope I get over this awkwardness that I feel. I'm sure I will eventually. But I do feel kind of awkward sometimes, because I don't know, I feel like I'm just talking at people sometimes, and I'm not used to the whole. I think I'm getting better with the comments, though. I don't think I have as many like staring moments of just dead air that like I had in the first two, so that's good. And Angela's here. Hello, Angela. It's good to see you. Let's see. And Linda says, I have been trying to integrate Dr. Zach Bush's 4-minute workout 3 times a day, but not being very successful to do it. So it's a 4-minute workout 3 times a day. So you're basically just working out 12 minutes a day. But you have to figure it in 3 times a day. So I would suggest, much like how we're doing when we're going out to eat, is try to pick your times in a way that you can add on those 4 minutes to something. Like you eat breakfast and you add 4 minutes doing that at the end, so that it becomes part of whatever that thing that you do all the time is. It could be as simple as Brush your teeth, do 4 minutes. Eat lunch, do 4 minutes. Finish dinner, do 4 minutes. Or brush your teeth, go to bed, and do 4 minutes, kind of thing. You know, whatever. I know some people can't exercise at night because it wakes them up and then they can't sleep. So, you know, you have to kind of figure out how you feel about that. You have to know yourself a little bit and all. Let's see. And Angela says she was grocery shopping for the past 3 hours. Woo, that's a marathon shop there. And Angela, you might have some ideas on that too. What do you think about that? Just like building in that time into something that you do every day that is kind of like natural for you, like brushing your teeth or eating lunch, eating breakfast, that kind of thing. And Angela says, great to see Cheryl looking so good. You see these? Look at the bug bites all over my face, all over my arms. My arms are just like, look at that. I'm so allergic to mosquitoes, and they have just like, I have welts all up and down my arms. And I have this giant one on my forehead. I mean, I'm just like, I feel like a teenager with acne today. And Linda's saying, really? Kathy played the French horn. How cool is that? She's a very multi-talented person. She's done all sorts of crazy things that would just blow your mind, like from French horn player to Aikido. She did Aikido, which is a martial art, and she traveled all over the country doing martial art competitions. She had her own web development agency. She was doing web development stuff when we first met. She also worked for a company doing web development as well. She did banquet catering in Arizona, where she had to carry those big, giant banquet trays, you know, the big, huge, round ones. And you know how tiny she is. So somebody would have to flop that up on her shoulder for her to go deliver that stuff, right? Because she's so tiny. But I'm just, she's done all sorts of crazy stuff. She's done more crazy stuff than I have. Hers seems more significant. I guess hers are cooler than the stuff that I did. I've done weird things like laid sod for a summer and just crazy stuff like that. And Anne says, it's so great that you can look for the blessings with everything happening. We are so blessed to have more time with you. And I appreciate that. Thank you. And I do try to look for the good. It would be very easy right now to just kind of like feel sad or just let everything get the best of me. I think at a different time in my life, if this would have happened, I would just be in the bed with the covers pulled over my head kind of thing. But, you know, I've gotten a little bit better at adulting. And so this felt more like a speed bump than a roadblock, if that makes sense. I do feel like, and I've said to a couple people in emails lately, that I feel like I've been juggling a lot of balls in the air for the past couple weeks, not wanting to let anything fall, because it's like, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, you know. And then the way that we were getting things from my old job was just kind of like trickling information, and I'm like, why do we have to drag this out? Like, I would have been perfectly happy if the day that it happened, they could just hand me everything that I needed and I could have went on with my life. But they had to drag all this stuff out. Here's paperwork for this. Here's paperwork for this. Oh, you got to wait for the paperwork for this. And then you got to wait for the paperwork for this. And I'm just like, you know, can we just get this done? I just want it to be over with. You wanted to cut ties with me, so I want to sever ties with you. So let me go on about my business and quit making me wait on you for things. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. And I'm going to cuss, so I hope I don't offend anyone. But a friend asked me how I was doing, and I said, I am firmly into the pissed off phase of my laid offness. So I am beyond the sad, I am beyond the, I kind of like bask in the idea that they have not been able to do the things that I did for them since I left. They still have not. So there's a little bit of, kind of lifts you up a little bit. I mean, come on. We all kind of feel a little vindictive sometimes. And that's just, the fact that it stung them right away and it continues to sting them. There's a little bit of satisfaction in that for me. I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of satisfaction in that. And so I think that, it kind of keeps me going. And the fact that, I can firmly be planted in if you called me tomorrow and said you really needed me because you can't do this stuff without me, I would tell you, sorry, I've already got a new job. Can't help you unless you want to hire me as a contractor. And then it's going to cost them a whole lot more money than they were paying me. So I'm feeling like I'm feeling pretty healthy about this right now. Even though it's a little vindictive, I do feel it's a little healthy, and it propels me a little bit, knowing that they're struggling. So, all right, there's vindictive Cheryl. She came out. Now you know it exists, and that's it. I'm done with it. I'm just done with it. Let's see. Oh no, Hydrant says, I just lost my kitty Chocolate, the handsome, at the end of August. It was not entirely unexpected, but came about very suddenly. I feel with you. Oh, I'm so sorry. That is just, the loss of an animal is always so hard. And honestly, I have to say that it not being sudden has actually been a little more comforting for us than if we would have just went to the vet thinking we were just going to end up with meds or something and then it had to happen. This way, we get to have that fling, that last hurrah, that last family adventure, and there's comfort in that for us, to being able to give him the things that he loves. He loves to go down to the Eno River. He has always been terrified of water, but for some reason he will splash around in there. He will get in that water, up to his elbows. And, for us to be able to take him down there today was a huge treat. We were worried it wasn't going to be able to happen because of the storms and the water and everything. We tried to go several days ago, and there were just big, huge mud puddles and ponds that we couldn't even get around on the walkway. It would have been too dangerous because there are some trails that go down. It was it's a hiking area, so we had to be real careful. It's still a little muddy and stuff, but he got down there and he got to do his sniffing and he got to stand in the water, and so he was pretty happy little goofball. All right, Jennifer's here. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. Hope all is going well for you this week. Let's see, and Vigana says, that's fascinating that Kathy went from professional horn playing to queen of kitchen appliances and grand sorceress of edible potions. It is true. But that's just, she's always had a very a creative heart, and all the things that she has ever done aside from the banquet catering have all had a large bit of, I'm not gonna call it crafting, but like there's creativeness involved in all of them, even the music, the doing the books, making recipes, when she was developing websites, all that had an air of creativity. And she's a very creative person, and she enjoys the art of making things and doing things for others. So this is like the perfect place for her to land, and we are also glad that she has. All right, I'm gonna kind of scroll through some of these, trying not to leave any dead air. I have a cat in my face. Let's see. And Gigi says, Cheryl, you're doing great. Remember, every day it's a new one. I will email you some mantras, sending you Reiki healing energy, strength, alignment, and groundness. Oh, thank you so much. That helps. That help my bug bites. All right. And Vigana says, we will all be thinking of you and Kathy tomorrow. I know you will probably not want to come on live, but I'm sure we would all be here for you to commiserate, for you to release and listen. And I appreciate that. And, you know, Kathy and I are both kind of, she's a cocooner. She will probably cocoon downstairs, and then I'm probably going to try to find some outlet that's of more of the physical nature, like going for a walk or cleaning up the house or doing laundry or something like that. So, I mean, that's just kind of how we are. But if we do feel like popping on, we definitely will pop on and let you guys know, how the things are going. And we really appreciate that you would be willing to be here for us for this. All right. And Angela says, I love hearing about how you all are including purposeful movement in your lives. Oh, and Tia says, it's unfortunate, but in my area, it's not safe to park far from a store entrance. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Because that is one of the easy ways to do that. I'm sure that there's other ways that we can figure out if you want to reach out to me. There may be some things that we can figure out that are safer for you in your area. We can work on that. Let's see. And Bob's Mom 1 says, I know tomorrow will be hard for you all. Please know that Max understands and is ready. You are doing the humane thing for him, and it's because of how much you love him that it's so hard. And it is. And we do know that we are doing the right thing. And like I said, after Saturday night, we were even more convinced. It was such a hard night for all of us. And TS says nothing wrong with dead air and staring. And TS would like to know, what's this 4-minute exercise thing? And I'm also kind of interested in that. That's Dr. Bush. Let me catch the first name if I can go back and see if I can see that. It was a Dr. Bush, from what I remember. Looking for it. Dr. Zach Bush, I think is what. Yeah, Dr. Zach Bush's 4-minute workout. And Linda was talking about that. Linda, if you want to put any information in about that in the chat, feel free. Sounds like a lot of people would be very interested in following up on that. And I'm fine with it. We can get back to where we were. I'm trying. My mouse is now sticking. All right. Kathy says, YouTube lives are great, but maybe one of the reasons you feel like you're talking at us is that we can only text with you. Maybe think about doing some things on Zoom. And actually, in the heartbeat group, when we do the monthly movement check-in, I do those in Zoom. Like I said, in the show notes, there's a place, if you're not a member of the heartbeat group, where you can become a member of the heartbeat group. And in there, there's a thread for movement, and we do a monthly movement kickoff for whatever the focus is for that month, and we do those on Zoom. We would love to have more people participate with us on those Zooms, and you can talk to us. And, I let those go as long as we need. So, just like here, if it goes on for 2 hours, it goes on for 2 hours. I'm not going to restrict it. If everybody wants to keep going, we just keep going on that. Let's see. And Angela says, according to the AHA, 10 minutes 3 times a day meets the requirement. I can't speak for Zach Bush, however. I've seen him in action and it's higher intensity. This is appropriate for some, not most. And Abby says, I liked Katya's approach to exercise. Maybe Cheryl could put in the link to Kathy's interview with her. Oh yeah, that's, she's interviewed Katya a couple times. Let me know if it's this week, last week's interview, if that's the one that you're talking about, and I can drop that in after we get done. Or you can actually on YouTube, if you just look up Kathy Hester, Katya, and all the ones with her will come up. And Angela says, being from Brooklyn, I can tell you Cheryl's version of cussing is a lot nicer than mine. And Carol says, your ex-employer's issues with you no longer there. It's called karma. I love it. And Ann says, love the chuckle. We are chuckling with you. Better opportunities are coming your way. And Lisa says, that's healthy vindication, and I appreciate that. And Ms. Krabs says, good for you, Cheryl. Glad you're putting up boundaries. Your company clearly didn't deserve someone with your skills, dedication, and patience and competence. Tough cookies that they are struggling. Exactly. And Angela says, it's a big game to them. They are hoping you will give up out of disgust or get another job so that you won't need to deal with them. Having gone through this at 55, it's a big game to them. Yeah, it is. It is. And Diana likes the idea of a Zoom. And Jill says, I know how you feel. When I retired suddenly, it took them 7 months to replace me. It's awesome. And Lissa says, many years ago, I scheduled the time for my cat to be put down. She blessed me by going on her own ahead of the scheduled time. Her name was Hester. Hester the Hisser. That's awesome. Well, and I love the idea of Zooms as well. And like I said, we're doing some Zooms in the heartbeat group for the movement stuff. And I could add some extra Zooms in over there as well. I try to limit them to just people who are in the heartbeat group because I wouldn't want it to get too out of hand so that it wasn't a nice experience for people, like if there were too many people in the Zoom kind of thing. But it's a really nice, this past couple times the Zooms were smaller. But we have room for those to grow over there, and I would love for those to grow. Just to be able to talk with you guys one-on-one is very nice. So definitely we can work on that. All right, and Abigail says, it was this past week that Katya was on and talked about different workouts she had to offer. Okay, I don't think I can add it in while we're on because I don't have Kathy's computer over here. But I will add it in, you know what I'll do? I'll put it in the show notes when we get off of here. And that way there'll be a link to Katya's stuff on there. And let's see. Well, we're getting on close to 11, and so I probably should get to bed. Max is still up waiting for me. He looks like he's like ready to go to bed. So I am going to head that way. If anybody else have any questions before we sign off and say goodnight, remember this week, find that one little thing that you can get a hold of, that you can take control of this week, that'll propel you more towards your goals, and try to do it all week. And remember, if you get 5 out of 7 days, that's still okay. If you get 7 out of days, that's great, right? There's no failures. No failures. We just start over again. All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to say goodnight. Doesn't look like we have any more questions, and would definitely, like I said, look in the show notes. I'll put the Katya information in there, and also look for the Heartbeat info if you're not a member of the Heartbeat group, and come join us on the Heartbeat Zooms. There's a replay of the one from last week in there, and then we'll schedule something else. And good night, everybody, and we'll see you later this week, hopefully.